When I started my career in data engineering, I struggled a lot. I made so many mistakes and I didn't know a lot of things when I started. I will share you all of these different secrets that I learned so that you don't have to struggle.
All right, are there secrets to doing data engineering? Let's look at the video called Data Engineering Was Hard Until I Learned These 5 Secrets. Interesting. From Darshil Parmar. Let's get into it. I'm excited.
Data and the workflow you need to manage to become a data engineer. When I started my career in data engineering, I struggled a lot. I made so many mistakes and I didn't know a lot of things when I started. But over the years, I've been working in the data engineering for the last 5 years. I learned so many things. And in this video, I will share you all of these different secrets that I learned so that you don't have to struggle. Let's start in the video. The first mistake that I did is that I was thinking the data pipeline in the wrong way. When I
Okay, data pipelines in the wrong way.
started my career in data engineering, I would simply follow the tutorials and the build pipeline exactly as shown.
Okay, well, yes, that is always a bit of a problem with education, right? People are going to show you what to do this, do this, do this, use these tools and this tool and this tool, and then that usually doesn't really fit to what you need to do, right? So
I didn't understand the full picture behind what is the purpose of building this data pipeline. I'll just copy paste the exact same thing and thinking that I learned data engineering. At my time, I was focusing too much on the individual components rather understanding the big picture behind building data pipeline. Data pipeline is basically the series of steps.
Understanding the big picture. That's one of the important things for engineers and also for data engineers, right? And that's what a lot of people do wrong. And he already said it, like he was focusing on basically the tools, right? The things to do and to use instead of thinking, okay, what is the goal that we want to achieve? And then going, basically coming from the goal and then going into the individual steps. I think that is something that a lot of people do wrong. And yes, this is also a problem with education, that we tend to focus a lot on tools. That's always what I try to not do in my academy, to just focus on tools, but give more of a, okay, this is the goal that we actually want to achieve. So talk with people and find out the goals, what they want, and then basically work your way backwards. It's not good to start with the platform and then figure out, okay, this is what we want to do.
It needs to execute in order to achieve the final outcome. These steps include such as extracting data, doing some cleaning and transformation, and then loading this data to some data warehouse for the analysis purpose.
That's also, well, what we always have, right?
And then loading this data to some data.
Extracting data, cleaning and transformation, loading, ETL. This is still what we do a lot. Not everybody does streaming. A simple ETL job, extracting data from a source, cleaning, transformation, then loading it into, well, not necessarily a warehouse, but into another platform. That is something important.
For the analysis purpose. The entire purpose of doing this activity is to help businesses to take the right decision. So this is what I was missing, right? I didn't focus on understanding the business side. All I was focusing on the technical side, that how do I make this happen? But on the business side, what is the requirement? How can I help businesses to solve the specific problem using the data? Understanding this.
And you need to keep in mind, there are 2 different types of problems, right? There are analytics problems, where you usually also use something like a data warehouse. But there are also other problems regarding, let's say, more transactional problems, more towards the customer, more towards the individual user, where the actual people who you help are not the analysts, are the actual customers of your platform who have a problem, who want to get a service.
This small thing will help you to understand and build your data pipeline in proper way. If you first focus on what the business really needs and then go on building your pipeline, it will be much more easier for you to tackle different challenges. So important things to keep in mind here is that always begin with the end in mind. So understand what the insights and outputs are needed. This will help you to design a proper pipeline. Understand that.
Also, it will help you understand the problems that could come up and that you need to solve. So ask, what is the goal? How do you do this? Ask a lot of questions. get together with people and ask questions about the goal.
Data lineage, basically understanding where the data is coming from, where it is going, what are the different formats. All of these things are important at the initial stage. So in simple terms, always start from the backward, what the business need, and then start building your data pipeline. Second thing is mastering SQL is non-negotiable. In the beginning,
True. Immediately, like, SQL is something we need. It's something every engineer
was
needs.
overwhelmed by the number of tools available in data engineering. But what really changed the game was me realizing that SQL is the backbone of data engineering. It is not just about writing SQL queries. It is about thinking in sets and understanding how to manipulate data efficiently. Structure.
The thing with SQL is all tools try to have like an SQL API, right? Something where you can access data through SQL. It might be a database, it might be an API where you write queries, it might be with Python that you access data with pandas, and SQL for Spark with Spark SQL. All these kind of things, they use SQL, and this is why you need it a lot. Also, SQL is going to help you like with data modeling, right? That you understand, okay, this is my data. These would be the tables that I need. This is how the information is connected when you think about a relational data model. So it's super important.
Query language is the essential tool for data engineering. It is how you communicate with the databases. You will be spending a lot of time connecting to database, writing queries, getting the data, inserting, updating records. So understanding how to write efficient SQL queries is important for your career. Some of the important steps here is that understand the basic, how to retrieve, insert, update, delete records. After that, learn about how to write the complex queries, such as learn about joins, learn about subqueries, learn about window functions. These things are very important.
It's funny, I just recorded a few of the last videos for our SQL for Data Engineers course in my academy. And these are all the things you need, right? If you know how you can select data, basically get data, insert, update, and delete, then you can work with it. If you understand how you can join tables and how you can write subqueries or common table expressions, which very often are also super helpful, and then solve it with a few window functions, I mean, that is all you need
for your data engineering career. And on top of this, you can understand how to optimize queries by indexing, writing efficient queries, understanding the query execution plan, and you can also learn about the data warehouses such as BigQuery, Redshift, Snowflake. If you're interested,
wait a second, but like
execution plan, and you can also learn about the data warehouses.
Yes, but don't focus on that immediately. SQL. Yes, you can look into Hive, Presto, BigQuery, Snowflake. These are all analytical stores, right? These are all lab stores. Remember, SQL, if you want to learn it, start with a relational database, start with a transactional database, MS SQL. You could use DuckDB, you could use MySQL. You could also do this with Postgres, SQLite. These are things that you should first look into before going into these things here, like Hive, Presto. Well, Hive not that much anymore, but like Presto, BigQuery, especially Snowflake, these kind of things.
Such as BigQuery, Redshift, Snowflake. If you're interested about learning SQL for data engineering and the data warehouse, then I have a course on this. Check the description, you'll find the more details. Third point here is that automate everything. When I started my career, I will spend a lot of time doing things manually. So if I have to make any changes to a data, I will maybe open that onto Microsoft Excel, do the manual changes because that was the quick fix I could find at that time. But understanding that automation can save a lot of time just by writing the small Python script. You can automate the simple tasks so that you don't have to repeat that particular thing again and again. What do you?
That is important. But for me, it was always, I first make it work and then I automate stuff, right? And keep it simple. Some people are immediately jumping into automation. They're building that huge structure and these pipelines and focusing a lot of automation in the beginning before they even have a working version that they can test. So I'm always the guy, build it once, it works, okay, now let's automate it.
What used to happen is that I used to spend a lot of time doing things manually, thinking that this quick fix will help me to save a lot of time. But in the long run, I will spend so much time doing multiple things manually. So if I had automated the entire things, I would have saved so much time and also built the efficient system for processing the data. So this is
True.
very important. When you start your career, you will spend a lot of time doing things manually. But instead of that, if you just adapt the approach of automating these things, this will save your time and also reduce the human error while doing this. So
You know, this is, I think he's absolutely right here. You just need to figure out, okay, is this like I think the Excel example in the beginning, that was quite extreme, going into Excel and then making some changes. But like, you need to figure out, okay, do I really need to automate this, or is this a one-time thing that I most likely never do again? Right? If this is a one-time thing you most likely never do again, then you don't need to spend 2-3 hours of writing code and bringing this into a pipeline and automating this. If it might be so, then you should look into automation.
So the things to learn here is that at the beginning, try to automate as many as things possible. Use tools like Apache Airflow and any workflow orchestration tool that can help you to set up the workflow and automate things at the start. Key tips.
Well, Airflow is not the big solution for everything, right? Keep this in mind. This is important. There are simple ways of automating tasks. Every cloud platform has tools for this. That is a simple, I have a schedule, and on that schedule, something starts. This is something that you can already use. You don't need to immediately go to Airflow and use Airflow, right? So keep this in mind. You can also have something like state machines. On AWS, you have this. You can do this with step functions. You can do this with step functions and then automate a process. But I mean, what I want to say with this is keep it simple. Don't overload it. Tools like Airflow, they have an overhead that you need to manage. You need to do some updates sometimes. So try to keep it simple, but automate stuff.
To remember here is that using the workflow orchestration tools like Apache Airflow or Prefect, do some script automation, monitor and alerting. So instead of you going manually and checking the logs and everything, make sure you build the automation system that can directly give you the notification so that you don't have to go inside the system and check the logs every time. Number 4.
That is actually a big thing, a big tool. Create yourself a monitoring system around it. And that can be really simple. That, for instance, you have a Python code running and that code runs every minute, every 5 minutes. That creates some statistics of how much data has been used, how long it had run, and so on. And then at the end, it's going to send it to a monitoring system where you have graphs, where you have charts. For instance, I think a good way to do this is with Grafana and a relational database or like Postgres. Get the data in and then monitor basically these charts and set alarms for these. Another thing that a lot of people do is for log management is they actually, instead of writing this into files, they send this into the systems like Elasticsearch and then build their dashboards where they monitor the logs, right? So these kind of things is super important.
Fourth on the list is I did not learn about the debugging. Initially, what I used to think that debugging is only for the software engineers. Just like coding, in data engineering, debugging is a huge part. Initially, I thought like if I write a data pipeline, my work is done. But data pipeline can fail due to multiple reasons like data quality issues or some issues with the source system. I was recently working on one of the project on the Airflow, and as you can see, I faced so many errors. And this is very common. You are going to face issues, but learning how to debug them will make you better engineer. Debugging.
The thing is, like with software, one thing, just writing the code is only a part. You also need to write tests. That is what a lot of people leave out. They're not writing tests for their code, because when you're writing tests, you already have to figure out, okay, what could happen? You need to do some risk analysis, like with the source data. What can happen with the source data? What can go wrong in my pipeline? And then you can act accordingly. And even if this is a simple Python script, you load data from an API, which data could be wrong, you want to upload it somewhere, what else could happen there when you store it into the database, all these kind of things. So keep that in mind. You also need to run tests. Try to run tests, please.
is not just about fixing the error. Debugging is about understanding why something went wrong and preventing them from happening again. It is a very important skill you need to learn as a data engineer, because things are gonna fail. But if you know how to debug the things, then you will be able to build the robust and efficient data pipeline. So
I mean, for me, it was never a big problem because I was coming from software development, so I knew how to debug stuff. The only difference within data engineering is, let's say you have a data pipeline, a multi-stage data pipeline. Like, people ask me, how can you actually debug this multi-stage data pipeline? And for that is basically what I always say is you have to look at the individual steps and you have to build in the basically the analysis. Is your program still working? Is the data still good? You have to build in the tests immediately into each individual step, so you know when something fails down the line, and then you can run tests on individual parts of your pipeline. So this is something a bit different than with writing large software. Well, also if you write large software, then you most likely write modules and you can test these modules individually. Yeah. So testing, super important.
Some of the things you can do here is that you can set up the logging mechanism. So based on the different steps in your data pipeline, you can write about the logging into some file so that you can easily track it. You can also
write it in a database. Don't use a file, please. Please, for the love of God.
The tools like Grafana or Prometheus to help you visualize the performance and health of your data pipeline. After that, you can also implement the alerting mechanism. So something fails, you will get the alert about it, and build a system to properly debug everything that is happening in your data pipeline. So these are the things you can keep in mind. And the last thing out of all of this is having the continuous learning process, right? This is very common and everyone knows about it, but no one pays attention to that. Because what happens is that once you learn something, it is very difficult to unlearn it and also learn the new things. So this is what happened, right? When I started my career in data engineering, I used to use different tools, but these days new tools are coming in the market. Even new approaches are being built.
But most of the time, let's stay honest here. Most of the time, these tools work the same. It's just a different way, a different name, a different company. But a lot of time, especially also in the cloud, things work the same. They're just from a different vendor. And once you understand the pattern, how it works, it's not a big deal.
For example, at my time, we used to build data warehouses and the data lakes. But these days, companies are moving towards the open table format or the delta lake. Understanding what is going in the industry and ability to adapt is very important thing, because this industry keeps changing. Modern data stacks are the new tools that are trying to solve the different problems in the industry. So understanding where the industry is moving and the new tools that are coming in the market is very important. So for this, you can read blogs on the Medium and understand what is going on. You can also follow the data influencers who talk about the different things that is happening in the industry. This will help you to stay up to date in the industry and learn new things. So
it's also like doing a few courses, like figuring out, okay, which tools are new. That's what a lot of people in my academy do. They join the academy to get to learn new stuff, to broaden their horizon, to do a small project on something, and through that make themselves more valuable in the future, right? To be able to do more things and new things for them.
So everything, let me recap the entire video. The first thing here to remember is that shift your mindset for the data pipeline. So start from the backward, understand what the business need, and then start building your pipeline. Second thing, master SQL, because it is one of the most important skill set you need to know as a data engineer. Third,
generally Python and SQL. These two are the MVPs here for data engineering. These are the things that you need.
Automate everything. You can do some things manually, but try to automate those parts so that you don't have to do it again and again. And this,
I wouldn't say automate everything. Automate the important stuff. Automate cleverly something, right? Don't automate everything, because if you need to do a one-time thing, that's okay. But yeah,
this will also reduce the error. Fourth thing, learn debugging, because it is important to understand why something happened or why something failed. And the last, keep learning and improving yourself. You can follow this.
Again, debug the individual parts of your pipeline.
Channel if you want to stay up to date with the data engineering trends. I keep publishing project videos, trend videos, opinions on these channels. So if you're interested in data engineering, then you can subscribe to the channel. It is completely free. And also like this video if you learned something new. This was everything from this video. If you have any
Very
questions,
cool.
do let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.
Yeah, cool video, Darshil. Good points with the debugging, with the automation. That is something. I think SQL and Python are the things you need to learn. But SQL, yeah, that's a big thing for us. So yeah, the link to the video is in the description below. Head over, leave a like. Let me know what is your thing that you have learned on your journey, and are there some new secrets? And then see you in the next video.